Howdy Keith, it's David. How you doing? I'm really sorry about taking so long to do this, but I got all your quenachos here and we're going to test them and we're going to talk about them a little bit. So here we go. So we have all right, I'll show you one at a time. This is the one with the apple pie string for the box on the top and bottom, and the notch is a big notch with the flare out. So I call that the flare out because it's not straight. And this has the small, this is the one with the small holes, okay? Compared to this one, which is the big holes. Well, that's a C. Here's two D's. So we're going to test, the first one we're going to test is the one with the small holes. And let me adjust the volume of my recorder here. It's too loud. Okay. I ain't warmed up, so let's see what comes out. We're just going to play with the low register, and I'm going to look at the tuning. The tuning is right on. It's in tune with itself, and I don't need to like really blow hard to get it to get the needle straight. So the bottom register, it's a beauty. It's ergonomic, beautiful sound because of the fat diameter, and the tuning is good. Now let's see what happens in the upper register. We get into some problems here. When we get to that upper G, it starts getting flat. And really flat on the A. It's almost a G sharp. And the only way I can compensate for that is to see if I can do some alternate fingering. And then it goes up too sharp. So this one's a problem. And I suspect it's because the notch, which is really flared out, it doesn't allow for a very concentrated force airstream, and you start losing. It's like you start losing. I start losing the feel. So for a lower register quenacho, if you wanted to play it like a NAF, like a lot of people do, and I guess this is the diameter of a NAF, it would be wonderful. Okay, let's look at number 2. This one has bigger holes. It's the rainbow string. And it's That's another big notch, very flared out. Let me see if I have. Let me just see if I have another quenacho handy. Sorry about that. I didn't bring another one downstairs. Yeah, okay, here's another one. As you can see, that notch is a little flared out, but it's mostly more straight up. This one is more like a flared out versus straight down. Okay, let's see what this one does. All right, this plays better, much better. The volume and tone in the, not much better in the lower register, but it's stronger. It's still ergonomic, and it's in tune with itself. But I think the wider, I think the big, either maybe the bigger combination of the big holes with the wide notch, it's just a little flat in this temperature, and it's a little humid here, so it would, I don't know. It's the G is fine. E is fine. In general, it's as good as any quenacho in terms of tuning. I just have to get I'd be listening and get the right breath. So I don't have any problem with the tuning in the lower register. The open D is a little flat, but you're not going to change that. Nothing you can do. And I would play it with the closed D, which is right on. I would just back up a little bit, but the tuning is fine for this size quenacho. It's perfectly fine. All right, so let's see where we start getting into problems in the upper register. This plays the upper G much better than the other one. The F sharp's a little flat, but I can hit the G. No, I can hit the G no problem, which I couldn't do on the other one. And it's on the money. It's on the money. For some reason, this F sharp, even in the lower register, is just a little flat. I don't know. You may have to close the second hole a little bit, but I can get it. I can finger it or change my breath. The A works. it starts to get a little difficult to play though, and if you're not really supporting your air stream, it gets a little flat. Let me see. All right, the A is doable. The B it just loses it. I would have to really work on my air stream, and I would have to do a lot of back pressure and hold air in my mouth. So I have to really accommodate the quenacho up in that register. And it's really flat. So A is the limit and G is the comfortable range. So it's very usable on Andean music. Nobody plays up there on most tunes unless you're playing solo work. And I would use this on some of those Native American tunes that we do. So here's my other quenacho. You see that an A is not a problem. It shouldn't be. So I got the full range of that instrument. This one's difficult. This has got the sound. I mean, you can't compare. But for full range, it's just much narrower. So it's much easier to play. Okay. And then we have one more D, which is the black lace on both sides. Looks like relatively big holes. I'll compare it to the one I just played. They look kind of similar. And there are the notches. So this black one is you made it less flared out, which is good on these big instruments. All right. Actually, this is on the money. The F sharp is on the money. Everything on that, what I just played, is on the money. Okay, this black one in the lower register, it's on the money, and again it starts to get a little difficult in the upper register. E and F sharp are fine. Takes a little skill, but actually I can't say anything wrong. It's a big instrument and people got to deal with it. So the D, E, F sharp in the second register are perfectly fine, and so is the G. I just have to close the get used to closing the embouchure like you're squeezing the balloon. So the embouchure is a little tighter and the airstream is thicker. I mean not thicker, but it's more precise. Okay, but you gotta, it's gotta be worked on. But the A is a problem again. All right, let me play this one again just so you can have a context. All right. So what I'm suggesting on these D's is there would be two things. The first one would be a pain in the ass, is you put a ramp inside, and then you make the poor man's ramp, which would make it a tapered bore, and or you could just experiment putting some clay in there, because I did that with my Kenna, and it actually works. The other thing is you could try going really small. So you have a big notch, and this is a Shao notch, and I would even maybe go V shape, but this is a C shape. But it's really small, which is going to give a much finer, more precise airstream. And let's compare that to, is one of yours. You know, man, it's just nice. It's beautiful. And you know, if this was a NAF, it would be, I mean, I see guys playing this as NAFs all the time, the Andean musicians. It just takes more air and a more controlled embouchure. Okay. Finally, we got the C quenacho, which is just too big for my fingers. So I taped up the back hole just to so I can test it. It doesn't get better than that. It doesn't get any better. I mean, that's the sound, man, you want with a C quenacho. And I just wouldn't play this like fancy stuff with it, I'd put the tape on it, and I would just play like my pentatonic stuff. Wouldn't worry about fancy stuff with this. It's probably gonna be a little trouble in the upper register, but let's try it. Alright, nice, man. Thing is, I just can't close the bottom hole. That was the problem. So I just use an open C. Alright, I'm having a little problem, but you know what? It doesn't go out of tune. On that upper register, the longer flute plays better with this size diameter and the holes. It's just I gotta get it. Alright, let me see what's going on here. It's in tune. It has none of the problems that the D has, and I think that's the longer bore again. It's still a little difficult. It probably could still benefit from a smaller notch, maybe. You know, it's got character, but there's a few notes here that get a little funky. This hole is super huge. My finger goes in it. Super huge. So I have a hard time covering it. Alright, so I'd say in the hands of a good player with big hands, it's a perfectly fine quenacho. I mean, C quenacho is a pain in the ass for me anyway, unless I have one of these small ergonomic ones that don't sound that good. So I've really never solved the C quenacho problem. And I don't play C quenacho too much, but if you're playing some of that really deep music, this is fine. I would use this. I mean, you can spend hours tweaking it, But for what most people use a C Quenacho for, I think this is going to work. I mean, I wish you could get this hole a little smaller. And maybe if you made this smaller, it would be even stronger, but I could use this. I could use this. So let's review these two. I would just use in the lower register, but there would be no reason to, because this black one is the best. This D. That's it, dude. What do you think? What do you think? This is full length, baby. Toyo. You need to smoke a cigarette when you're playing these things. I traded this in for one of my student bone flutes to a guy. These cost $500 if I want to import them from Peru. He really wanted a bone flute, and I already have one, and I was just a student, so I traded him a Toyo. And this guy can really blow it. I would use it like 3 notes for effect. Anyway. Alright, Keith, I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any questions, buddy.